Hey, I was just listening to Don Cohen. He has Hour of Empower, the hour before I go live every Wednesday. Right now, it is 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and he goes on the hour before. I tuned into him because I was watching someone else's. I always call these gatherings. If it's live and there's more than one person on the screen, I call it a gathering because I I've always thought of that this is my moment to sit down at a picnic table with someone like you and just talk boldly and comfortably about aging, anything aging. Sometimes people think, well, yes, you have to talk about aging because somebody that you care about is doing that. And then there's the thought that, wait a minute, I've helped someone else who had challenges in aging. So I really want to make sure that the expertise, that the resources I've discovered, that this nifty, clever device that really helped out, that it gets discovered and used by others and helps people to not go through something that I went through or to stop being overwhelmed by a lack of support or uh, a difficulty finding local services that help with challenges. All that comes into play. People are talking about their parents, maybe their siblings, a significant other, maybe their spouse, and even their own kids, because we're getting older and older, and our own kids are experiencing challenges of aging. However, there's two factors that I want to bring in. One is that it's not all challenges, it's not all problems, it's not all difficulties and bad. And I'm bumping into my microphone. It is not all negative and, oh no, what am I going to do about my aging? And I also want to bring in the factor that pre-acting your age, that instead of acting your age, like don't act too old, don't act too young. What are people's expectations? Should I be looking different, acting different, doing less, doing more at my age? All of that all together is something that you can deal with ahead of time. I bring onto my screen experts. I bring onto my screen someone who has created an innovation that has truly made a difference, that they're excited to share, that they want other people to try. Hey, hi Michael. It's just me. This is a first. Since August of 2022, I have always had one other person on screen with me. Then I thought more is merrier. And it is. It can get a little hard to get everyone's opinions, perspectives, links, recommendations, reactions onto the screen. But today I'm going solo on purpose. Well, I guess you could congratulate me because I'm getting a jump on New Year's resolutions. But I think about, well, I always like to think about the words, and resolution almost looks like re-solution, or maybe creating a different solution to a problem. Um, yeah, that's true. And I don't want to just look for solutions to problems. And I don't want to just do it at the beginning of a new calendar year. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Since August of 2022, I've come on screen with someone else. But getting a jump on the new year, and if you tuned in at the very beginning, there's even a new screen slide. Is that the right word for it? We used to do slides all the time. Yes, thank you. My hubby producer, the motivational listener, D. Scott Smith, should have probably been working on something else. Should have. Boy, that's the wrong word. Could have been using his time to work on his other endeavors, but created a new slide. So this is great. I guess I feel like I'm starting the new year of 2024 a month early. So it's kind of relaxing. It's kind of like, ooh, I've got to jump on this. I've got an extra month before I really have to make sure my calendar is turned to the right page and all that. I really enjoy Michael Holt, who has jumped in with a couple of comments. Yes, he is a little over an hour away. Got to meet him in person for the first time just a few days ago, weeks ago, couple weeks ago. So that was great. And we were just talking about his business and how he promotes other people for them and promotes businesses where his device, his screen is located, helps them promote themselves in a new way that really works out because people tend to look up at a screen as things change. So, I've got a new slide that appears at the beginning of the show, and I have, well, a lot of new things that have happened during this 11 plus 4. Okay, so 15 into August, about 16 months that every Wednesday there's been a new opportunity to talk with someone about pre acting their age. So I'm getting a jump on 2024 and I'm giving you some links to resources so that you can get a jump on your own aging. If I was coming to you and saying, here's what you can do ahead of time to be successful in what you have chosen to do, in what you are interested, you're motivated, you're heading that direction. You've already made a down payment. You've already submitted your please, call on me. Please consider me for this position to enroll in your course, to be a part of your family. May I please marry your daughter, whatever it is. If I gave you a link to a resource that you knew was going to help you to see someone else's path to that same point, that you would be able to hear their experiences and that you would be able to hear other people asking them questions, giving them suggestions from their own path to that point, not you should, you oughta, everybody does it this way, nobody does it that way. But people who are supportive of each other going, that's amazing. I experienced something similar and I'm so glad that I did this or contacted these people or had this device that I could use when the going got tough or when I really wanted to upgrade and accelerate and elevate my own dreams, or I wanted to really help that other person. You would be going, "Sure, I'll give that a try." So the first one that I want to put on the screen, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it is always fresh every week. And that is agingbetterNetwork.com/live. So our friend Alan Hennessy, when I was describing to him about pre-acting your age or preparing emotionally and relationally for your later years, for all your later years, and all that will come your way, and all that you will desire to do, and all the circumstances and the opportunities that you'll find yourself in. Alan said, "The only thing I really understood out of what you just said was the word network." So just going to Network 101, networking is bringing together. And for me, a net, like I use to take my fish out and put it into fresher water, I don't want any open spaces, no rips, no missing parts. Otherwise, it's really not going to do the job. So every Wednesday, I place into my husband, D. Scott Smith, places that interview or that group conversation into agingbetterNetwork.com/live so that you can click on that and then go ahead and finish your holiday decorating. Go ahead and respond to your emails because it's actually good for your brain. I've tried it several times and I love it to listen to something going on in the background, and then there's something that clicks into your brain. It helps you to write better content, but you might also stop for a moment and go, "What was that?" And you'll be able to review it because it's in replay. So there are all of those conversations and interviews that were recorded. The conversations are always live. There's no editing. Well, maybe something was snipped off the end if it was too long, but it was just a real human to human, screen to screen happening situation where people are pointing out their solutions, their services, whether they're working for a company, whether they've created it and they host it themselves, their solutions, and they're sharing their stories. It helps to answer the question, why? Why am I listening to them? Why did they feel it was important to pivot from what they were doing to what they are doing now, what they're providing now? All of those conversations, you can have them going in the background while you're finishing up doing some emails, while you're driving, and, the song on the radio, it's just not meeting your need right now. So go ahead and listen to one of the episodes that I title Aspects of Aging. Aspects is more like a character of aging rather than an issue, a burden. Um, as these people are interacting, I will just tell you, you will find people there that you relate to, people that you aspire to be, people that you can't believe what they've gone through and what they did with it. And for me, the biggest shock is always someone who is decades younger than I am. I'm still not able to get over the bias of how can you be so young and so in tune with aging? So, what do I consider aging? I am 63. In 2024, will you still need me? Will you still feed me? Because I'm going to be 64. Hey, I don't hold it against the lyricist who talked about 64 as being maybe a point at which some people start to wonder, am I still vibrant? Or that they wonder if other people are beginning to disregard them, thinking, well, they refer to the past a lot. I don't know that they're, quite up to the speed that we are. So, will you still need me? And will you still feed me? Yes, I was a caregiver. I was hired to go into private residences. I became that extra daughter in law you didn't know that you needed until now. And I gave respite to loved ones. I gave, but respite being I was there, I caught on to the routine, to the hopes, to the concerns, and gave them the courage to leave the room or leave the house and maybe even not be there overnight because I would be their extension and be present with the person who was considered the client. So that happened almost in 100 different homes before I needed to reel it in for my own family and all that I could contribute there. So during that era, during those years when I was in my 50s, I loved being with people in their hundreds and 90s and 80s and a few in their 70s. I loved what they contributed to me. And I'm not just having a good attitude about that. There were days when they were my confidant. There were days when they asked me questions that at 53, 57, I had to really think and respond to. And we were together very quietly in their living room, maybe kind of noisy because we were out getting groceries, hitting the pharmacy. Maybe the family was all coming into town because of a big 100th birthday. Whatever it was, I was hearing from all those family members, neighbors, people bringing meals on wheels, friends who had come to stay for a few days, people who were my age, younger, a little bit beyond me. And I suppose because I was, let's see if I can straighten that. I suppose because I was wearing a badge, that those people would turn to me and confide in me or ask questions of me. And I wished I had better answers. So, Aging Better Network. Network made sense to Alan Hennessy because that was bringing everything together so that you could accomplish more, bringing people together, bringing resources together, books, um, products, groups of organizations, bringing those together. So no matter what it was you needed to accomplish, you had a net, you had a network. And if accomplishing that day was figuring out how to deal with a loneliness that was so different than all the other decades in that person's life, helping them to define it, championing how they were um, becoming more self aware and becoming more self determined to find their own solution and changing if that solution wasn't serving them anymore. So, that networking of human beings and those human brains was had to be part of the title of Aging Better Network. Then the better part, I usually try to avoid superlatives. Like, this is the best. If you keep saying, it's the greatest, it's the most, the highest, the farthest, the whatever, it you could become kind of jaded to is it really the best because everyone else seems to think they're the best too. Can I find a better way for that individual in this circumstance to escalate? I was on an escalator recently. No surprise, shopping kind of goes with this season. To escalate, to move forward and to move above where you've already been to provide a more efficient way to deal with some aspect of aging. I didn't have it in my 50s. Now that I'm in my 60s, I know experts, and I'm not keeping any of them secret from you. I know people who have provided a place to go to get books about dementia, about dealing with your feelings about your own dementia, about identifying why it is so hard to hear the same thing over and over again, even if it's something pleasant, and how you can change your mindset to be able to not only endure, but to enjoy a conversation with a person who has a brain disease that will not allow them to recognize that this has already been discussed. I didn't have all of those skills. I had developed a few of them because I had to with those over 90 different clients that I had the privilege to be with. But all those family members, all of those occupational and physical and speech therapists, all those dietitians and um, dentists. Yes, I was present with that person at haircuts, with another person as they would speak with their pharmacist. And I thought, if only I had better answers, better. So, of course, the first word, in my opinion, had to be aging. No matter what you think about old, should you say older adults? M My voice accidentally lowered. Older adults? Is that more correct? Is it less painful? Well, I am old because when I was young, I thought 65, well, that's when you quit. That's when you stop doing things. That's what I thought when I was young. When I meet people who are currently at the age that I was then, and I hear them being so literate about aging well beyond number 65. I think, how did you get so far ahead of me? How did you do this? What was the secret? Well, for me, at age 53, a person said, "I want to hire you. I want to hire you to be a caregiver." I said, "What is that?" Oh, I know. It's working at a nursing home. I was trained, I got books. I went and talked with, literally walked into the office of a gerontology professor, head of the department, and said, "What's the book? Where's the resource? What is available?" So that I can finally answer these people, because I love to flick my hero cape and make sure that it's, you know, fluttering in the breeze, and be able to say, "I'm here. I'm the hero of the moment. I'll rescue you in the nick of time. I know what you need. I know where to get it." I can't know all those things, but thanks to the people who have been on my screen, people who have said on screen and especially off screen, I didn't know I was going to say that. I didn't know that I was gonna bring that up. I haven't thought of that in years. So, those people that are interacting with each other, yes, they have something that solves a problem. They also have something that enhances human beings who either are seeing old, feeling old, being bold as a person who is aging. They are creating entire platforms based upon a bias that they would like to break. They are reaching out around the world and finding like minded people and creating think tanks that are either filled with people who have been diagnosed with a type of dementia, or are filled with people who are saying, "I love gerontology. I have a geriatric background or set of skills and experiences that reach beyond my medical license that's up on the wall. I know how to operate with family members in a crisis in the emergency department of the hospital, and I can actually hand them something." And again, I hear them say, "No one has offered us anything like this. And we have been working for months, sometimes years, to get a full diagnosis. We've been dealing with situations that we knew we were not the first people to come across an aspect of aging. And here you have handed this to us." All of these people are pretty exciting to me. Some of them do not have an agenda, a business, a goal that they are trying to achieve. They are just going about the personal business of living, and aspects have come their way, and they are willing to place their vulnerability live on screen, unscripted, unedited, no fancy music, no break, whether they have been able to get their camera to function or not, whether they're driving in a car saying, I'll be on pretty soon, but right now it's starting to snow. And then when they get home, they come on screen and it just all comes pouring out how it's been at work, in the hallways where people live to the left and to the right, left and to the right. And they are enhancing those lives because these people, well, the people themselves and their families are thinking that this may be their final destination. This is their forever home. And so, what they're doing to make sure that they are connecting with other people, that they are finding their purpose in this situation, having nothing to do with an ability that is diminished and having everything to do with being yet another human being who deserves full rights. Having said that, the next thing I would like to pull onto the screen, which is my heaviest subject, and that is the link to I recorded myself. It took me a few tries. This one was not live. It's just me. And I am talking about elder exploitation. I got to tell you, at this juncture in my life as a live streamer, as a daughter of a mother who is in her 90s, as a person who has been, um, whew, has had to take a breath after having all the air sucked out of my lungs by what I found, what I came across, and more than once having to make the call and talk with family, talk with um, law enforcement, because there was evidence of elder exploitation. So this person, in the eyes of someone absolutely notorious, became a target, an easy target, one of definitely more than one of many targets. And so I explain in the video, which you can find at agingbetternetwork.com. It's there on my website. I talk in that video about why I created the Declaration of Freedom. It's just a starting point. What I discovered that was similar in each situation was that bad people are really good at being bad and continuing to be horrible. And good people, loving, interested in the life of that person who has lived quite a long time, are not good, not always very good at getting to the root of what doesn't seem right. There's an empowerment that needs to happen, and it needs to happen before. It certainly needs to be done during and after law enforcement has been brought into a situation, before and after some sort of abuse has been reported. But it needs to be brought in beforehand. It needs to be something that I hand to my own adult children, that I make available, because it's written right in the Declaration of Freedom that This has been physically, and that can be through email, but has been physically handed to other adults to empower them to say, this person has entered your life electronically, through the mail, through your front door, and something's not right. And I am here. I have the power. I have been knighted. I have I have been knighted to come in and say something's not right here. And I'm and if that person is not guilty of what they're being accused of, they are all about, let's find out what can be done for more safety, because we all have safety. We all have safety nets. We all need insurance. We all need assurance. We all need a coach and a guide to help us through something we haven't been through before. We haven't been old before. We haven't been targeted because we look like we're not as, you can fill in that blank. I'm going to say we're not as quick to be savvy, to be our own advocate. And so the deception has begun, has been crafted for our downfall, for against our wishes, not in our better interest whatsoever. It's already being crafted, and we all need help from someone who can stand back, who's not as emotionally um, entrenched, and for them to be contacted and to hear perspectives from people who really do care about us, the person who has been targeted or may have been targeted. I got to tell you, as I've been for years, I have been um, labeled, legally labeled as a person who needs to report, a mandatory reporter of something's not going right. And I think this person is being taken advantage of, or is being told, don't say anything about this or else. That sort of a thing. I've been a mandatory reporter for decades. And one of the things that you are trained in is that if you are accusing someone, if you are reporting saying, I think something's going wrong here, it's scary. And if you're wrong, that means that you are someone not to be messed with. So, guess what? This person has already been shielded, has already been had the wagon circled around them. So, if someone is thinking of doing something that is utterly criminal and unspeakable, um, they're going to have to go through you. So I'm just saying, if bad things are not happening and you think, should I report because I'm going to be the bad guy? No, you're not. You are the strong advocate. And that's a little bit hard to be. So that's why I created those, the video and the Declaration of Freedom that is available at agingbetternetwork.com. Let's see. Somewhere in there, I was reminded of a person that I met just a couple years ago, and they sent me a handwritten note in the mail. It's always fun, even when you're an adult that gets, a pile of mail, to get one that was sent to you that isn't just, taking care of the business of being an adult. And in this note, they said that number one, they were really glad to be part of a convergence of experts in their field, people who have innovated and created and patented, not patent pending, but actually patented and trademarked their book, their explanation book, the how to book. It's like, I want to do it myself, but I also want to do it right. Or that I've seen that done, but I really don't know how to start. So their books, their, I'm not kidding, pillow that makes a difference, their support agency for someone who has an aspect of aging personally, or somebody that is in their I care, their welfare is a responsibility and is important to me. So I have been saying to people that when I had the first convergence, which was my learning curve. So this learning curve started flat and went straight up and back over again, like one of those rides, because I hadn't done a public event ever. I have helped at public events. I even, oversaw a fundraiser for a school, and everyone who came to that event, I pretty much knew them or they were associated with the school. But this was open to strangers. And I asked for 8 people willing to tell us, to share, not so much making a speech, or I say speeching, but to tell us, just like I have people on screen, to tell us person to person, why are you doing that? Why did you make that pillow? Why did you write that book about using Duplos in relating to people as a caregiver, relating to people who need a vehicle to express how they're feeling, or need an encouragement and a bright spot in their day. Why do you keep talking? Why have you become an expert? Maybe accidentally, but definitely on purpose, you have continued it. Why have you become an expert on creating brain growth in a person who seems to have just their brain is fine? It's been working just fine. Why have you become an expert in what to do and what to continue and how often, and what is a good dosage of brain activity of all these different sorts? Why have you done that? And what are you seeing as the results of that? And so we came together as people who had created podcasts, who had dealt in their own community as a civic leader with connecting with people, even if it's through the window, um, during the shutdowns, because those people were already isolated by challenges, by um, abilities. But then this pandemic thing made it more essential, brought it not only to the attention of people, but just made it more essential planet wide. And we came together, the first full weekend in October. So Saturday and Sunday are both landing in the month of October. We're going to do that again here in Independence, Oregon. Independence, Oregon is about an hour south of Portland and just minutes southwest of the capital of Oregon, Salem. And we're going to do it again. I hope I get another independent filmmaker to come to the Independence Cinema again so that we can all enjoy theater seating while we watch what they created from their own experience, from their own opportunities to talk to people and to let them act out, relive, um, paint a word picture of what they did to overcome adversities and to make their presence um, just as vital and contributing and um, worth everything as they did in earlier years or when they were more independent or more mobile or you know, really good at what they did, maybe in business, maybe in parenting, maybe in how they've changed or how they've refined and brought this in for, with some pinpoint accuracy. Again, it's about aging, it's about continuing to live. So, convergence will happen again October 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. If you end up being a speaker, you get to be in this convergence. It's kind of like a conference, but maybe a little more personal and a little less of a speech situation, more of an interaction. You get October 4th in 2024 to speak to each other and get instant uh, yeah, reactions, input. Hey, I did something like that with this. And then you can make your decisions for how you will speak to the general population, how you will speak to their need, how you will interact in a way that you can take what they're saying in that moment and respond to it and make a difference. Hey, Inger, that's Inger Van Roy, and she has her own live show. You're going to have to look her up. I don't know that there's that many Inger Van Roys. There's a bunch of Chris Smiths, but I think you can find her very easily. I'm just looking back, and Inger, you may have already interacted with Michael. You two have several aspects in common, and I know that Inger often says, I don't like to be on the camera. I don't want to do video. I don't want to do this. But she does, and it's for a worthwhile reason. So Michael could speak to that from a different perspective. You two would really enjoy each other. If you haven't already connected, maybe through the once a month um, global tea break with Alan Hennessy and my husband, D. Scott Smith, motivational listener, who is making sure that these get on screen right now. If you haven't already connected, you would really enjoy each other, personally and professionally. So I listened to these families and I jotted down little thoughts in my little purple bag, which is right back there. I know I left it back there. My little purple quilted bag that my friend uh, created for me. And I jotted down notes, leaving out names, places, dates, identifying information. But I found commonalities from home to home to home that as a caregiver, I was kind of invited in to confidentialities, questions, feelings, relationships, difficulties, triumphs, and I started writing about them. And my husband encouraged me when I was writing an article to expand upon it and create this book. So if you go to Amazon and look at this book, The Caregiver Kit, that's my basket. And there's some of the things that I have in my basket that remind me of caring, self caring, caring for myself when my grieving is taking a nosedive, when I choose to grieve in a healthier way, and I think, that sweet sorrow is coming again. When I think, I don't know what is wrong with me right now. Why am I so low? I've got an actual physical place that I can go and an actual book that I can go into and remind myself that grieving gradual loss is present when the person that you are losing is leaving um, in that brain sense. They are leaving the circle you've always had. So when I received that note in the mail, the one that I showed you earlier, this lady helps those people who are saying, I think this is an age related situation that I've hit. Is there any help, any advice, any guidance, any suggestions, any resources that you can give me? And a resource could be a person to talk to, and it can be a book. And she said, "Thank you for inviting me to be one of your presenters at Convergence in October, and that will continue annually, year after year. And thank you for giving me your book. I have used it twice. I have recommended Caregiver Kit twice. And the part that has resonated was the part about grieving the gradual loss. When my loved one has been diagnosed with a form of dementia, which can be like Alzheimer's. And I do give a recommendation of anyone who's been hit with the get your affairs in order. It is a brain disease that we have verified. And I give credit to All's authors. This was a, a small group who got in contact with each other from a distance and said, I've written down some things that I went through. I just don't want others to go through this alone. And I think it might be helpful. And I do want to honor my loved one and not make this talk about the disease, the problems. And they have gathered over 300 different volumes. Plus, they are expanding their resource, All's Authors. I believe it's allsauthors.com, into podcasts, into um, opportunities to see films, so that people go, oh, yes, I'm experiencing that too. Oh, yes, I wondered why that doesn't work anymore, because there's another change. Oh, this is really helping me, because it's an emotional journey and it's a relationship journey. So I would invite you to find me on LinkedIn, Christine dash dash Smith. So it's in/Christine dash dash Smith on LinkedIn any Wednesday at this hour, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. You can watch these group conversations happen. You can watch these people come on, tell what they're there for, and then interact with each other and end up giving each other solutions and support for any aspects of aging. But I want to end with the one thing I was always going to write for like about 10 years, and so many people that I knew in person, in front of me, that I could touch, and people that I met, so many that I've met online, screen to screen, who said, your word is publish. And I credit Russ Johns with saying your word for 2023 is publish. So this is a thicker book, and it has 52 aspects of aging that I identified as I was with nearly 100 different families, and how it affects you emotionally and relationally, what to do to pre-act on your own aspects of aging, how you can share that with someone else by documenting and by communicating, how you can uh, give yourself a reward when you tackle one of these ahead of time, even before they're really an issue. Believe me, you will remember as you read through this information, because it's only one aspect of aging at a time that you will find in here. And it is called Pre-Act Your Age Prompted Journal. So I've given you a bunch of answers in here. What can I do about this ahead of time? You can practice, you can document, you can communicate, you can reward yourself, you can circle or add your own preferences from your own perspective. You can change it anytime you want to. It's kind of handy that there's 52 of them, because there are 52 weeks in a year. I only do my live once a week. I would like to add more shows that are a little more specific to some of the things that I've experienced as I meet people online who are experts, who are, well, they have expertise because of their own life experiences. And it's so valuable. I want it to be archived at agingbetternetwork.com/live forever, because it will not go out of style to know that you're not alone. So, age better, network with others. Know that anything that you're thinking has been thought, and you're not aging alone, but you will age on your own. And there are a lot of tools that will help you to do that so well. Thanks, Inger. Thanks, Michael. Thank you, D. Scott Smith, I was called him aging enthusiast. That's me, but hashtag aging enthusiast. That could be some other people too. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week when I have a whole group of those people who have so much to add. Okay, you can bring on that new slide that you made for me. Yes, that's the one. Live Wednesdays, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Live streaming at agingbetternetwork.com/live. ABN stands for Aging Better Network, where I've identified 52 different aspects of aging. See you next Wednesday.